It all started with silence. Not from that blessed morning silence, but from the wrong one. Oppressive. It was the silence of unfulfilled relief. Mom had a seizure. High blood pressure is a common occurrence. We had a well-established ritual. A pill under the tongue, a glass of water, 15 minutes of silence. And it always helped. The pressure was slowly slipping from critical levels and breathing was leveling off. But not that Tuesday. An hour passed and the blood pressure monitor on my wrist was still beeping, showing dangerous, exorbitant numbers. Her face, which was usually pale, turned purple. There was a mute question in her eyes, mixed with animal fear. Why isn't it working? I called an ambulance. They drove for 40 minutes instead of the usual 10. I could hear the city suffocating from the sirens. They did not stop, merging into one long, alarming hum. When the doctors finally entered, they moved as if in a dream, tired, with dull eyes. They gave an injection, left a couple of ampules, shrugged their shoulders, and said that there were too many calls, some kind of inexplicable wave. It looks like a virus, but the tests are clean, the paramedic said, not looking me in the eye. The injection did not help. Mom was gone that night. The next day, the city changed. Not outwardly, all the same cars, the same people rushing about their business, but the air has changed. It was saturated with collective bewilderment. Queues were lined up in pharmacies, but not from panicking, but from confused people. They silently handed the empty packages to the pharmacist, as if asking, "Is this a fake?" Children with asthma suffocated after inhalers. Diabetics fell into a coma after their usual dose of insulin. The city was not destroyed. He was poisoned by the silence of broken medicines. The first days merged into a gray fog of grief and bureaucratic hell. But when the shock passed, I began to notice the details. The chaos was strange, selective. The water was running from the faucet. The internet was working. The electricity was not turned off. It was nothing like the silicon silence my father had described. Then everything just went out, became dead, and the digital world turned into a pumpkin. And now all the rituals were being observed. Everything was humming and working, but idling. The authorities muttered something about an atypical pathogen and a massive psychosomatic effect. No one believed it. I walked through the deserted streets and listened. I listened to snatches of conversations, read chats in district groups. The story was the same with different names and diagnoses. Antibiotics for sore throats did not help. Antidepressants did not work. Painkillers turned into placebos. The list was endless. The problem wasn't the illnesses. The problem was the drugs, all at once. I started to collect the packages. I asked my neighbors for my mother's. Blisters, ampules, vials. I laid them out on the kitchen table like evidence. I was looking for a pattern. Different manufacturers, different countries, different active ingredients. What do they have in common? The answer did not come immediately. I was sorting through the boxes, and my fingers felt a barely noticeable difference. The cardboard seemed to be a little more glossy. And then I saw him, a small icon at the bottom of the package that wasn't there before, a blue snowflake in a circle of 2 green leaves. The Helios Logistics logo. I've seen their new, almost silent refrigerated trucks everywhere in recent months. They boasted about their new eco-delivery system, the new revolutionary refrigerant, FrizzGuard 7. They became monopolists in almost a year, absorbing all the small suppliers. They delivered almost all the medicines to the city. My theory was crazy, but it was the only one that explained everything. I had to check it out. The nearest large Helios distribution center was located in the industrial zone, outside the city. I climbed over the fence at night. The air there was cold and smelled of ozone and something else, unfamiliar, chemically sweet. I found what I was looking for near the dumpsters, a damaged shipping container, a white plastic box with barely noticeable perspiration oozing from a crack in it. Inside were packages of insulin. I held one up to my face. It smelled of the same sugary chemicals. I realized that I had found the source of the silent plague. At that moment, under the dim light of the lantern at the back of the warehouse, everything fell into place. It wasn't a conspiracy or someone's malicious intent. Everything was much simpler and scarier. It was a mistake. A global, systemic, monstrous mistake, born in the pursuit of efficiency and green technologies. The new refrigerant, this FrizzGuard 7, which was supposed to save the planet, turned out to be too aggressive. It was volatile. It penetrated through the micropores of standard pharmaceutical packaging, plastic, foil, even glass. He didn't spoil the medicines. He didn't make them poison in the truest sense of the word. He was more subtle. It reacted with active substances, slowly and irreversibly destroying their chemical structure, neutralizing them. The drugs turned into pacifiers. The ampule with the antibiotic became just a saline solution. The tablet from the heart is pressed with chalk. A dose of insulin is a useless protein. The entire global health system, our entire faith in medicine, was based on a single molecule that was inadvertently corrupted by another. I felt not fear, but an icy calm. The realization was like a blow. Millions of people around the world were taking their medicines right now, believing that they were helping them, while the disease was freely devouring them from the inside out. It was phantom therapy, a global ritual of self-deception supported by perfect logistics. Helios delivered death with the precision of a Swiss watch, in a beautiful, eco-friendly package. And no one noticed anything because everything was done according to the rules. The collapse was invisible. It was in the molecules. When I returned home, I realized that it was pointless to shout about it. Who's going to believe me? A madman who lost his mother blames the delivery service for everything? I will be taken to a clinic where they will treat me with the same pacifiers. No, saving the world is not my job. My task is to survive and maybe save someone else. I need medicine, present, what was produced and delivered before Helios and its FreezeGuard took over the market. There should have been some old stocks left. Not in ordinary pharmacies. They update the warehouses every 2 weeks. But they have to be somewhere. In government reserves. In old, abandoned hospitals. Or in veterinary clinics. They have their own, often slower and more conservative supply channels. My plan is simple. There is a regional veterinary station outside the city. An old building built in the last century. Most likely they have a warehouse with drugs that have been there for years. Antibiotics, painkillers, even insulin. Many veterinary drugs are identical to human ones. This is my chance. I packed a backpack, a flashlight, and a multi-tool and leftovers. I do not know what awaits me there. Maybe the warehouse has been empty for a long time. Maybe it has already been looted by those who, like me, began to suspect something. But I can't sit here and watch the city die quietly. The world did not know that his own salvation was killing him. But I knew, and I needed an antibiotic from the world that was yesterday. My first step is beyond the threshold of this apartment, towards a city full of phantom therapy.